Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, into the continuation of Bill Cipher and Ford's relationship backstory. And boy, do things escalate from here on out. I told you things will only be getting more interesting. Now, previous to the events within this part are the events of Ford being snowed in for the holidays, Ford's discovery of the show reference footprints, the Krampus incident, and Fiddleford's saving grace, all while, like Ford mentions, Bill Cipher suspiciously is nowhere to be seen for weeks on end. One would assume that it was due to Bill Cipher's realization of Stanford's near success of completing the portal, and so he probably was plotting with his hench maniacs in the meantime to prepare for the big day. This is distinctly right before the event of Bill conveniently returning after Fiddleford and Stanford's celebration after their victory over the Krampus, only for Cipher to soon convince Ford of being more skeptical and trusting Fiddleford, and to quote-unquote say, trust no one. Ford even goes as far as to believe Bill even further, only due to Fiddleford discovering Ford's old memory photo album, and not to mention within a day's time before Fiddleford decides to quit. By the way, I read back into Journal 3 just to see how lore accurate they made the timelines coincide with one another, and it doesn't disappoint. The crucial detailing makes the experience all the more intriguing, to say the least. Fiddleford and Ford are said to be meeting at a diner at night before the test launch date, located at Greasy's Diner. And within Journal 3, Greasy's Diner is illustrated. It also gives the date of January 17th, which as we know is several weeks after the holidays. Also, Ford becomes skeptical within a page in his official entry of Journal 3 as well, questioning McGucket's trustworthiness and loyalty. Now, things begin to take a dark turn once Ford continues on his path of testing the portal. Despite the many warnings Fiddleford himself heeds to Ford, another warning emerges in sight of one of Ford's very own grim nightmares. One consisting of possessed ancient figures of the past who more than likely too fell victim to Bill's flattery and deception, with the hidden figures chanting the words, "I grow maddened," over and over, similar to a broken record player. And to make matters worse, hellish flames begin to engulf the background as well, as a screaming laughter echoes at the same time, causing Ford to, of course, eventually wake up in the middle of the night to potentially uncover the meaning behind the phrase using anagrams, much like how he would use anagrams to rearrange the lettering of one of his school bullies, Bragg Hidgel, as you could make his name realign to spell out hog bladder. Bro bullied him with his own name. Now, I for one don't personally believe this is an anagram needed to be solved, but instead perhaps a phrase recited from Bill himself, as he not only is at the time allowed to somewhat enter Ford's mindscape, but despite his outwardly calm, helpful, and cheerful demeanor, he still is a demon that has waited a tremendous amount of time, let alone a millennium, for his portal to finally become a reality. And so Bill's patience is shrinking thin, and time is of the essence. I mean, he was so desperate for his reign to become a reality that Ford mentions in Journal 3 how Cipher managed to complete pages worth of calculations before the launch date just to ensure that the plan goes through as scheduled. However, this could also resemble Ford and the past victims of Bill Cipher, for they all become maddened and out of their sane minds after their encountered experiences, and begin to possess scrambled mindsets from the nightmarish terrorism from within their minds. But boy, does Bill Cipher only confirm my theory about it being a reference to Bill's patience within these next few entries, as Ford breaks down in a rant about his foolish behavior and allowing Bill to deceive him and use him like a puppet. Ford regrets ignoring Fiddleford's warnings and much more, as he then proceeds on to create a door that only he and he alone can access to by using his very own retinal scan for identification in order to trespass inside of the laboratory. Since, as we know, the pupils change into a distinct shape whenever Bill is in possession, to which I find both impressed by and also left confused, because what about the vending machine that led down into the lab as well? Was this created after Stanley had to take the elevator back up into the main area of the Mystery Shack? And I would say that it may have to do with them being twins and potentially having the same identifiable eyes, yet that wouldn't be plausible, as research suggests the eyes of identical twins are as different as irises of unrelated people. The more you know. Anyways, this gets Bill to act out in a frenzy in the bunk of the night, possessing Ford's body and attempting to punch down the door until Ford's fist becomes sore, bloodied, and bruised, which without a doubt encourages Ford to not only try and force himself awake each night and to remain on guard, but to also create his version of a Bill-proof suit. Notice that I said his version, as another previous lackey of Bill Cipher in a different time period tried a suit of his own to defend himself against Bill, but let's just say that his tale ended with him living in an insane asylum. Within Ford's getup, we see details such as the Bill Zuka he used within Weirdmageddon Part 1, his Journal 3 pocket, headphones to keep him awake, a decoy brain for Bill to apparently fall victim to, a flamethrower for in case Bill falls for the decoy, an electrical defibrillator to zap Bill out of his mind, which actually explains his high-tech rubber boots, spells, and silver bullets, cause why not? A Bill detecting visor that I'm guessing emits a special infrared light to uncover invisible to the human eye threats, and a cloak made from unicorn hair, explaining Ford's discovery on unicorn hair barriers. And just so you know, this is all something that Ford plans out ahead of time, and this is a diagram of what would have been if he had just acquired a brain from a dead corpse from out of a graveyard. Which explains the last 2-page entries containing the story of Ford and his encounter with Bill-possessed zombies, which happens at the Valentino family's mortuary as he attempts to steal a dude's dead brain in the name of science. Cause surely nothing has ever gone wrong from 19th century doctors using that phrase to morally justify such cruel activities among humanity. As it turns out, Bill Cipher uses those same zombies to use as grounds for possession, and they soon of course cackle in glee and horde around Ford to intimidate him, with Cipher taunting him with discouraging words about how alone he is and how without him he's nothing. And man, when it comes down to Bill using humiliation to try and convince his victims into subjugation, he's a little too good at it, especially when it comes down to family drama. Talk about the devil in disguise. Ford nearly gives in, getting Bill to smile ever so sinisterly, only for Ford to use this as an opportunity to, and I kid you not, get out one of the most random remarks before blasting the Zombill in the face, with Ford exclaiming the words, "I have missed you, but my aim is getting better." Yeah, so, that happened. Anyways, this apparently is a joke derived from his father the whole time, and it wasn't just some hilarious one-liner that Stanley made up on his own, which honestly isn't a disappointing reveal. I mean, it's still freaking hysterical. But anyways, that, ladies and gentlemen, ends part 2 of our lore backstory between Ford and Bill's dark history. Part 3, I will tell you now, only gets funnier and also terrifying simultaneously. It's a trait that the writers of Gravity Falls are capable of that I especially enjoy. With all that being said, this has once again, as usual, been The Next Big Thing, and I will catch you lucky viewers in the next one. Peace!